Chapter 6 is all about inventory. Question number 14. How well are you managing your inventory? The financial ratio called the days sales in inventory, which is the ending inventory divided by the cost of goods sold, and that result times 365 days is one of the ways you can answer that question. This days in sales ratio or inventory reveals how long it will take to sell out of inventory. Now, there isn't any such thing as higher is better or lower is better for this ratio. What really matters is the sweet spot. For example, car dealers would like to have at least 60 days of inventory, but not more than 80. If they have less than 60, then they might lose a sale because they don't have the selection that the customer wants. And if they have more than 80, then they're probably just going to be washing and dusting cars all the time. Here's our first question, number 14. Kroger had a cost of goods sold of $11,321,000. Ending inventory was $3,989,000. Average inventory is $2,155,000. Its days sales in inventory equals what? And you're supposed to use 365 days. So our days sales inventory calculation would be the ending inventory of $3,989,000 divided by cost of goods sold of $11,321, which gives us a 0.352354 times 365 days, or Kroger will run out of inventory in about 128 or 129 days. Now, there are 4 costing methods that we're going to talk about, which deals with questions 15, 16, 17. And they are specific identification, FIFO, LIFO, and weighted average. FIFO stands for first in, first out. LIFO stands for last in, first out. And let's see what each of these are about. The specific identification method is used whenever you have usually large ticket items like cars or computers or some kind of a big expensive thing that sometimes has a serial number. So let's say you have 3 cars, and all 3 cars are identical in every respect except you paid different prices for them. For example, the top car cost you, the dealer, $57,000. The middle car cost $58,000, and the bottom car cost you $59,000. So if you sold the middle car for $100,000, then your profit margin would be $42,000. And what's important to understand here is that they're 3 exact same cars, but your profit margin will be different, either higher or lower, depending on which one of these 3 cars that you sold. And specific identification gives you a much more accurate reflection of what your profit really is, because it's getting exactly what item you sold. Now, let's take a look at specific identification for this problem. Number 15. January, we bought 18 units at $128. We bought another 28 units in February for $138. We bought another 23 units in May for $148. In September, we bought another 20 units at $158. And in November, we bought 18 units at $168. Now, on December 31st, we have 58 units left in our ending inventory from all of this. The question is, how much should those 58 units be priced at or costed at? And under specific identification, they tell you which one of these we still have left. So they say, these 58 units consisted of 10 from January, so let's put that down there, 12 from February at that February price. Looks like we've got 14 from May at the May price, and looks like we have 12 from September, and then another 10 from November. So you want to cross multiply all these things out, then add them up to see what the total is of those items that we have, those 58 units. So we have 58 units, and their cost of the ending inventory is $85.84. On all these inventory questions, you want to make sure you understand what is it that they're asking for. Are they asking for the cost of the ending inventory, or are they asking of the cost of the goods that you sold? Because that's two sides of the same coin. Again, let me say, are you asking for the cost of the ending inventory like this one, or are we asking for the cost of the goods that were sold? Number 16 and 17 deal with FIFO, LIFO, and weighted average. And then we're going to have a little example here before we get into those three questions. But let's suppose you start a business. It's called the Roomba vacuum cleaner business, and you are buying these vacuum cleaners to turn around and resell them. So on May the 1st, you bought one at $45. On May the 3rd, you bought another one at $65. And on May the 6th, you bought another one at $70. And now it looks like you've sold one on May the 7th for $100. So the question is, the one that you sold for $100, what did it cost you? Which one of these three was it? And we're not using specific identification in this situation. We're using one of these three methods of FIFO, LIFO, or weighted average. So let's see what we've got. Sales are 100. And the cost of goods sold, that's the next thing that's really the question mark. So you could have said, well, I'm going to use first in, first out, which means the first vacuum cleaner that I bought, which was $45, that's the one that I sold. And if that's the one that you sold, then sales are 100, cost of goods sold are 45, gross profits 55, and your ending inventory would be these two remaining vacuum cleaners at $135. Or you could have said, I'm going to use LIFO, last in, first out. And so the last one that came in the door that cost you $70, that one is the one that you sold, and therefore your profit is $30. And your ending inventory are these two that you bought on May the 1st and May the 3rd, and now the inventory is 110. The third alternative is you could have said, I'm going to use weighted average. So I'm going to add up the three items in inventory, $180, divide by 3, and each of these cost an average price of $60. That's kind of the mathematician's way to do it. And so when I sell one of them, I'm going to put it on the cost of goods sold at $60, and my ending inventory consists of two of these, which I don't know which two, but the average cost of two of these would be 2 times the 60, or 120. Now what's important to notice here is what affects, what things that, how you end up with a gross profit. Let's say, for example, when prices are, let's see, let me go here. When prices, first of all, you have to ask the question, are prices going up or down in this accounting period? Well, prices are going up on these goods. And which one of these three methods gives you the highest profit on the income statement? Well, it looks like this is going to give you the highest profit of $55. This will give you the lowest profit of $30, and this gives you a profit somewhere in between. Next question would be, which one of these has the highest inventory valuation on the balance sheet? Well, it looks like this one has the highest inventory of 135. It's, again, the same units. This has the lowest inventory valuation on the balance sheet of 110, and the weighted average method has somewhere in between there. Now these things I just mentioned apply whenever prices are rising. If prices are going down, just the opposite occurs. So let's see what we got. Okay, really important point to understand about these three methods, LIFO, FIFO, and weighted average. You can use any one of these methods you want to on your books, and these methods do not have to agree, don't have to match or agree with the physical flow of your inventory. For example, if you're a grocery store or any kind of business that sells perishable items like milk or fruit or whatever, vegetables, then you would be naturally using first in, first out, so that you make sure that you get the freshest fruit out there for your customers. But even if you used in the grocery store, if you used FIFO as your fiscal way to account for your inventory, you could use LIFO on your books. It doesn't have to match. What matters is that you have to use a method and stay with it on a consistent basis, so you get comparable inventory, you get comparable financial statements. Okay, number 16. On November the 1st, we have 5 units that we bought at a cost of $10 a piece. On November the 2nd, we purchased 19 units at $12 each. On November the 6th, we bought 15 units at $15 a piece. And on November the 8th, we bought 17 units that were sold. We sold 17 units for $45. And we're going to use LIFO, and they want to know what was the value of the inventory on November the 8th. Well, if we sold 17 units and we used LIFO, that is the last thing in was the first thing out the door, then of these 17 units, that means that these 15 units are going to be gone. They're sold. And 2 of these are sold. So 15 of these are sold and 2 of these are sold if you sold 17 units and you're using LIFO inventory. Now, what does the question want to know? They want to know the value of the inventory on November the 8th. They don't want to know what's the value of the goods that you sold, but I'm going to go ahead and do that anyway. The 17 units that were sold, the value of those units, or the cost of those units, would be the 15 at $15 a piece, that is the November 6th price, and 2 more at the $12 per each price, which was the November 2nd price. So all of these were sold, 2 of these were sold. And they want to know what's the value of the inventory on November the 8th. Well, if 2 of these were sold, that means you still have 17 of these left. So 17 would be the units in the ending inventory under LIFO would be 17 at $12 right here, and all of these at $10 a piece. And so 17 at $12 a piece, 5 at $10 a piece will give you a total of 22 units in the ending inventory at a valuation under LIFO of $254. Next, number 17. Company has inventory of 19 units at a cost of $21 each on June the 1st. On June the 3rd, it purchased 31 units at $23 each. 22 units are sold on June the 5th. Using FIFO, what is the cost of the 22 units that were sold? Okay, if we sold 22 units and the first thing in is the first thing out the door, then these 19 units that we had on June the 1st, they're all gone. These are all gone. And then we want to have 3 more units from this 31 that we purchased at $23 each. Those are also gone. So the cost of the units that were sold would be the 22 units that were sold. We have 19, which was the first ins that we got. All these are gone. So 19 at $21 each, and then another 3 at $23 each, $69. So the 22 units sold under FIFO would have a cost of $468.